In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to create awesome sounds with triad pairs. Enjoy! How's it going? I'm Dave, and my channel is all about helping you create awesome neo soul and R&B sounds on your guitar. So if you're new here and that sounds like your kind of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button and you click the notification bell so that you're notified every single time I release a new video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about triad pairs. Now, if you want the resources for this lesson, I've got a few PDFs down in the description at my Patreon page, so you can go there to download those. Now, what is a triad pair? So a triad pair is quite self-explanatory. It's a pair of triads, but these triads appear next to each other in whatever key you're playing in. And although it's not a hard rule, they typically have the same quality. So for example, if we take the key of C major and we lay out all the triads there, we've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. The triads that are next to each other and have the same chord quality are the triad pairs that we're going to be using today. So for example, D minor and E minor are right next to each other and they're both minor, so we're going to use those as a triad pair. And also F major and G major, they're right next to each other as well, so we're going to use those as a triad pair. So our triad pairs are D minor and E minor, that's the first triad pair, and our second triad pair is F and G. So those are the triads we'll be working with today. Now we can use triad pairs over a particular root note to highlight the color tones and some cool extensions and get some really awesome sounds out of our chords. So the first thing to do is learn the triad shapes that we'll be using today. Now, if you're not familiar with triads and what they are and how you invert them and everything, I did do a massive guide on triads very recently that you can check out here. So I'd highly recommend, if you don't know what triads are, check that video out first before you come to this one. So D minor and E minor are our first set of triads. They're our first triad pair. So let's take a look at how to play them on the fretboard. What I'm going to be doing is only using some higher string sets for reasons you'll see in a minute. So we're going to use the D, G, and B strings to start off with. So we've got 3 on the D, 2 on the G, and 3 on the B. That's our D minor. And then we just bring it up 2 frets to get the E minor. Great stuff. Now we're going to invert that. 7, 7, 6. So 7 on the D, 7 on the G, 7 on the B. And then we just bring that up 2 frets to get our E minor. So far we've got then for our next D minor, we're playing 12, 10, 10. And then for E minor, we're just bumping that up 2 frets. Okay, so far. And then for the next string set, the G, B, and E strings, we are going to be playing these. So we're playing 2, 3, 1. That's our D minor. Then up 2 frets for the E minor. Then we're playing 7, 6, 5 on the top 3 strings, 7 on the G, 6 on the B, and 5 on the E. And then we're going to bump that up 2 frets to get our E minor, so 9, 7, 9, 8, 7. Then we're going to play 10, 10, 10 on the G, B, and E strings. And then that bumps up by 2 frets to get our E minor. So altogether we've got 12 different shapes that we're using here. So okay, so just practice those a little bit and then we'll take a look at the F and G triad pair. So we're playing F major and G major here. First triad will be 3, 2, 1 on the D, G, and B strings. Then to get to the G, we're going to just bump that up by 2 frets. Then we're going to play F at the 7th fret of the D string, 5th fret of the G string, and 6th fret of the B string. And then to get the G, we bump that up by 2 frets. Then we're going to play, for our F, we're going to play 10, 10, 10, and G, 12, 12, 12. This string set sounds like this. Then if we move to the next 3 strings, we are going to be playing 2, 1, 1 on the top 3 strings for our F, and then bumping that up by 2 frets for our G. Then for the next F, we're going to play 5, 6, 5, a bit like a D chord, and then bumping that up by 2 frets for the G, 7, 8, 7. And then finally for F, we're going to play 10, 10, 8, and then bump that up by 2 frets for our G. So altogether we've got So those are all of our triads we're going to be using. So now let's take a look at how to use these triads. So first of all, we're going to be playing over a C major 7. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see how these triads relate to the C, and we're going to see what kind of interesting sounds we can get from these triad pairs. So let's take a look at the D minor. We've got the notes D, F, and A. Now let's see how these notes relate back to C if we were to play them over a C. So this D would be a 9th, this F would be an 11th, and then the A would be a 13th. So we've got a C major 13 sort of sound when we're playing the D minor triad. Now if we take a look at the E minor triad, we've got the notes E, G, and B. Now the E in relation to C is the 3rd, the G in relation to C is a 5th, and then the B in relation to C is the 7th. So playing this E minor triad over a C root note is basically just like playing a C major 7. Okay, so we get this major 13 sound and a major 7 sound. Okay, and then what you can do is mess around with your different triad shapes over this C root. So let me do that now. I'm going to mess around with D minor and E minor while playing a C root note. And we get a very interesting sound there. Now let's take a look at the F and the G triads and see how they relate to our C. The F triad to start off with, we're playing F, A, and C. So the F is the 11th of C, A is the 13th, and then C, of course, is the root note. So we're getting another major 11 sort of sound by playing an F major triad over a C. Then if we take this G triad, we have the notes G, B, and D. So the G is the 5th of C, the B is the major 7th of C, and then the D is the 9th. So we get like a major 9 sort of sound by playing the G triad over a C root. So let's experiment a little bit with these sounds. Cool, so there we go. We've played 2 different triad pairs over a C root, implying a C major sort of sound. Now, some cool tricks you can do. You can obviously use these triad pairs on top of a root to create interesting new chord voicings like this. You can also do some cool things when improvising like I just did. So you could slide into and out of your triads, so that sounds quite cool. You could also do a cool technique called the chord quake, which I've done a video on. You can check that out up there. But all we're doing is we're just playing each note of a triad individually, one at a time, but playing the note, sliding back a fret, and then playing the note again. So it sounds a bit like this. Okay. Another cool thing you can do is do a chromatic descent from the higher triad down to the lower triad. So for example, from G to F, something like that. As long as this one in the middle, this chromatic triad that we're using, we don't stick on it for too long. Yeah, it's just a very quick passing. And you can can do that with the minor triads or the major triads, it doesn't matter. Okay, and maybe you can combine the techniques together. Now, let's take a look at how we could play over a dominant 7th chord using these triad pairs. Okay, so we've got a G7 in the key of C, that's the 5 chord. So let's take a look at the D minor and E minor arpeggios to start off with and see how they relate to the G. For D minor, we've got D, which is the 5th of G. We've got F, which is the flat 7 of G. And then we've got A, which is the 9th of G. So we've got when we're playing this D minor triad over a G, we're getting a G9 sort of sound. Okay, quite a cool sound. Then if we're playing this E minor triad over a G, let's take a look at the notes. So the E would be the 6th or the 13th of G. Okay, then the G, of course, is going to be the root note, and then the B is going to be the 3rd. So we get a sort of G13 sort of sound. All right, so we can get something that sounds a little bit like this. There we go. Again, making it up on the spot, but that's how easy it is with these triad pairs. Now let's take a look at the major triads, the F and the G. So F and G. So F, A, C in the F chord. Let's see how that relates to G. Okay, so F is the flat 7, A is the 9, and then C is the 11. So we get a G11 sort of sound. I really love using this voicing for neo soul. Classic voicing. Okay. Then we take a look at the G major triad, and we're playing it over a G, so we're just basically playing a G major there, really, aren't we? Okay. So G major triad over a G root makes sense, doesn't it? Root 3rd, 5th. So now I'm just going to improvise something real quick using the F and G triads over a G root. Awesome. So now what we can do is we can play over a minor 7. We're going to take the D minor 7 chord specifically. So we're going to see how D minor and E minor relate to D, and then we're going to take a look at how F and G relate to D. So we're playing a D minor arpeggio, or a D minor triad, over D. It makes a D minor chord, right? Root 3rd, 5th, or root flat 3rd, 5th. Pretty self-explanatory there. But let's take a look at the E minor triad, and let's see how that fits over D. So we've got E, which is the 9th. We've got G, which is the 11th. God, that took me a second to work out then. And we've got B, which is the 6th. So when we're applying that 6th to a minor chord, we really get a Dorian sort of sound. So if you're playing in Dorian, these triad pairs are going to be great for creating that sort of sound. Okay, so let's take a listen to this minor triad pair, D minor and E minor, over a D root. Awesome. And now let's take a look at the F and G triads over a D root. So if we play an F major chord, F in relation to D is the flat 3rd, A is the 5th, and then C is the flat 7. So we're just getting a D minor 7 sort of sound out of this F major triad. Okay. Then if we take a look at the G major triad, okay, we've got G, which is the 11th. We've got B, which is the 6th, and then we've got D, which is the root note. So again, we've got this kind of Dorian sound going on with the 6th here. Yeah. So let's take a listen to me improvising something random using the F and G triads over a D root. So we've taken a look at how to play triad pairs over a major 7 sort of sound, a minor 7 sort of sound, and a dominant 7 sort of sound. Now why not put it all together? So we're going to take this D minor 7, which is chord 2, it's G7, which is 5, and then C major 7, which is 1. We're going to play a 2-5-1, and you'll hear over the 2-5-1, I'm going to use random pairs of these triads, whether it's D minor to E minor or F to G, and you'll hear how we can create these awesome sounds, okay, just by improvising a little bit. There we go, something completely improvised there. If I spent some time writing something, I probably would have come up with something a lot better there, but it didn't sound too bad, did it? Just from a little improvisation. You can use this in your single note playing, in your lead lines, in your solos, in between chords to create nice little licks, and you'll get some really, really awesome sounds. That was it for today. That's triad pairs. Remember, if you want PDFs of all the shapes, then head down to the description. You can download that there at my Patreon page. If you enjoyed the video, click like, let me know what you thought in the comments, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Now, if you want to learn how to make awesome sounding chord progressions, then I've got a book called Chord Charisma, which is going to show you just how to do that. Now, I'm giving away the first 2 chapters for free, and all you have to do is head to the description and grab those first 2 chapters there. Those first 2 chapters are going to show you how to write a basic diatonic chord progression and then build it into something that sounds a little bit more jazzy and sophisticated with extensions such as 7ths, 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths. And there's tons of chord shapes just in those first 2 chapters. So if you want to learn all about that, definitely check that out. It's free. So head to the description and check that out. Make sure you check out this video here because you're going to learn even more, and I'll see you there. Have a good one.